Mediation language is not weakness, it's inner strength in heated debates. The one who maintains a mediating stance is often labeled unprincipled, avoidant, or afraid of conflict. But this is a profound misunderstanding. Being a mediator doesn't mean lacking opinion, it means having enough inner strength not to be pulled into extremes. Mediation language, when used rightly, doesn't dilute the truth, it makes it more hearable. The question is not who's right, but who's strong enough to keep the conversation open when everyone wants to scream. The one who mediates is not weak, they are the person holding both ends of the rope from snapping. Mediation language doesn't make you lose your voice, it helps you preserve everyone's voice. In conflict, we often glorify those who speak bluntly, who don't fear confrontation, as if that's the only form of courage. But real courage is not just in voicing what we believe, it's in our ability to withhold reactive instincts and preserve the space from shattering. Mediators are not people without opinions, they are those who know how to hold breath between two screams. In moral philosophy, this is called quiet moral courage, not the courage to win, but to sustain. Mediation language doesn't avoid conflict, it approaches it with the aim to transform, not to escalate. It requires emotional intelligence, contextual sensitivity, and deep inner calm. Often, the mediator is someone who has known pain but chooses not to inflict it back. That is the strength of inner discipline. Mediation language does not mean pleasing everyone. It doesn't avoid conflict, it places conflict within a frame that allows for dialogue. A person using this language doesn't dilute truth, they simply refuse to deliver it in ways that hurt. In nonviolent communication theory, Dr. Marshall Rosenberg emphasized that what we say only has value if others can receive it, without sacrificing their dignity. In other words, truth is only truly transmitted when it does not crush. That's where mediation language, soft, deliberate, and respectful, becomes the bridge that truth can safely walk across. This is not weakness, it's the highest form of respect for human intelligence and emotional life. One of the greatest misconceptions is the belief that, the louder we speak, the more we fight for what's right. But the truth is, the louder we get, the less we're heard. Behavioral psychology shows that under confrontation, the brain activates its defensive mode, numbing receptivity. In contrast, when someone feels heard without judgment, empathy centers in the brain light up, opening the door to change. Mediation language works on that principle. It is not just about words. It is a biological structure of safety. A mediator is not neutral, they are architects of the conditions where truth can remain in the ears and hearts of others. You don't need to shout to be heard, you just need to speak in a way that makes others want to keep listening. When someone uses mediating language, they are not softening the issue, they are making it accessible without being rejected. Mediation doesn't dilute the truth, it gives it the conditions to survive resistance. Like a catalyst in chemistry, the mediator doesn't change the substance but enables transformation. In social dialogue, this is an essential role. Mediators don't avoid discomfort, they step into tension and soothe it from within. They know, when everyone shouts, no one hears. So they choose to be the last whisper so the conversation doesn't die. This is courage, not the kind that conquers, but the kind that preserves humanity in speech. In Western cultures, where assertiveness is often seen as strength, mediators are sometimes misunderstood as lacking personality. But what people overlook is, assertion without listening leads to monologue. Mediation language does not deny assertiveness, it transforms it into dialogue. Philosopher Martin Buber wrote about the I-thou relationship, where people are not objects, but subjects to be heard. The one who speaks mediatively lives in that I-thou world where truth isn't a hammer, but a gift that needs a soft enough hand to give. And in a noisy world, those who choose to speak with respect are the ones who preserve stillness both within themselves and within society. Mediation language is usually trained in silence, through hundreds of moments of listening to anger without reacting, through conversations where ego isn't satisfied but connection is preserved. It is a skill with no certificate, but it defines true leadership. In studies of cultural intelligence, the most effective leaders aren't those who decide well but those who manage rhythm among diverse groups. And that rhythm is shaped by those who speak the least but listen the most. Mediation language is the quiet heartbeat of sustainable dialogue. Those who master it don't just become good speakers, they become the kind of people others want to be honest with. There's a beautiful paradox in mediation language. The softer it is, the deeper it resonates. It doesn't need to be loud because it echoes in the soul. Those who use it don't aim to win, they hope that everyone can remain in the conversation. And that hope is the most human act of all, to keep the door open, not because you're right, but because you still care. In an age where everyone wants to assert themselves, the one who becomes a space for listening rather than a speaker is the one upholding the final moral structure of a society that listens. They are not the losers, they are the guardians of the space. where humans can still meet through words. In a world increasingly polarized, where louder voices often drown out deeper ones, mediation language emerges as a quiet but unwavering strength. It's not flashy like sharp rhetoric, not sensational like accusations, but it's the only language that can still keep humans together. Mediators do not avoid truth, they choose to speak it in ways that don't shatter hearts. They do not stay silent out of fear, but out of the wisdom that some silences echo louder than 1,000 words. And in that calm, they build a space where what is right doesn't erase what is wrong, but reveals it so it can be transformed. This is not the language of retreat, it is the language of those who dare to stay when dialogue is hardest. If you've ever felt too soft to be heard, too neutral to be trusted, or too calm in a room full of shouting, know this: you are not weak, you are holding what others have lost. Keep speaking, not to win, but to stay true. Keep listening, not to appease, but to understand more deeply. The world doesn't lack voices in argument, but it always needs one more person who can hold the line of dialogue. Be that person, the voice that doesn't rise but resonates, the one who doesn't stand in the spotlight but stands between people. Hold on to mediation language, for it is the starting point of a society that not only speaks, but listens in order to move forward together.